So it's a very warm welcome indeed to the Global Business Podcast show today to Darla DeMorrow. Darla, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
It's wonderful to be speaking to somebody across the other side of the world again, and I think we're so blessed and grateful that we can do this, aren't we? It's just wonderful that I can sit here on my sailboat and talk to you over there whereabouts are you today?
I am just outside of Philadelphia on the east coast of the U.S. And, I'm always trying to get back to Australia. And as far as I could get today was a podcast, but I'll take it.
Well, I've heard through the grapevine that there's lots of people trying to get to Australia at the moment. And I wonder why that is. It may be because there's not much in the way of COVID-19 here, but there's a lot of sunshine and we're having a beautiful winter time at the moment. So I was checking out, you're in a place called Wayne, Pennsylvania. Is that right?
Yes.
I was checking out
outside of Philadelphia, so about an hour and a half southwest of New York City.
And Wayne's famous for the railroad. Is that right? Have I got that right?
You've done your homework. So we have the main line. We're actually, our neighborhood and our area is called the main line, and that's because we had the first suburban rail line coming outside of Philadelphia whenever that was 100 years ago. But now people very often will know it because we're very close to Villanova University. We have a ton of universities actually in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Now, something I wanted to ask you that was completely off track of what we're talking about today was I wanted you to explain to me, why is it a unincorporated community, Wayne? What's that all about? What does that mean actually?
I'm not sure if it's unincorporated or not, but I have a funny story. The way that counties and towns and townships are done here is a little bit strange. We actually live in a town called Wayne, but the week that my husband and I bought our house, which has been over a decade ago now, but we were walking downtown and a gentleman stopped us and we were chatting on there's sort of a main stoplight in town, and the guy says to us, there is no Wayne, Pennsylvania. And I said, I'm pretty sure I just wrote a really big check to buy a house in Wayne, Pennsylvania. He said, no, there's a Radnor Township, and you live in a county, but there is no Wayne, Pennsylvania. That's only a post office. So There you go. It's not actually a municipality. It's just literally a post office, a zip code here in the U.S.
There you go.
Anyway.
So it's a good place to set up a business probably then, yeah?
Well, it is a good place to set up a business. I moved here. I actually established my business over 15 years ago in New Jersey, but we moved here 12 years ago. I relocated my business across state lines, and I've been operating as a professional organizer ever since in this neighborhood, this region. I travel when I'm working with clients in their homes, which is not right now, but when I am, I will drive up to an hour radius, an hour east, hour west, hour north or south to get to my clients. And it's, just a lovely drive any way you go.
Yeah, fantastic. I was just telling you off air before we started that I also have a travel podcast, and a lot of people have flicked over to start listening to this business podcast from the travel show. So we should give Wayne a bit of a plug. Why should people come and visit? What's there to do in the general area other than going to Philly as well, I guess?
Well, Philly is definitely a draw. There's a lot to do there. I consider Philadelphia my hometown, even though I grew up in the Midwest. Philadelphia is my hometown. I feel like I'm a transplant, but Wayne is just the sweetest little town you've ever been in. We have a true downtown, which is really nice. We have a vibrant restaurant scene. From my house, I can walk to so many amenities. I walk to church, to the post office. We have about 30 pizza joints that I can walk to. Ice cream, library, you name it. If you absolutely need it, it's here. And then we're also just a few miles away from King of Prussia Mall, which is one of the two largest malls in America.
Right.
So if you like to shop, you're in the right neighborhood. And then Philadelphia, of course, it's just down the road. It's about half an hour by car. And it's just chock full of history, but it's not just historical. It's really, ever since I've lived here, which has been almost a little over 20 years, just a ton of things. There's always a great music scene going on, and any kind of museum you'd ever like to go to. Great food. I like to say I've never had a bad meal in Philadelphia. I've gone to New York and had bad food, and I love New York City, but I have never had a bad restaurant meal in Philadelphia ever in the decades that I've lived here. So lots to recommend here.
Well, there's a good plug, and I'm really having a bit of a chuckle to myself because every time I ask a guest to talk about their hometown, they always mention the pizza joints for some reason. Pizza always comes up. We've got the best pizza in the world here. Come and visit. Come and visit.
We do. We have all sorts of pizza. And I come from just outside of Chicago, actually, is where I grew up. So, people from that area, they'll put their dukes up and they'll really want to fight you on who's got the best pizza. But you can get anything you want here, really.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, one of the things that I do on my shows is I offer the guests the opportunity to dedicate their show to someone special in their life. So who would you like to dedicate your show to today, Darla?
Oh my gosh, it would have to be my children.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 middle schoolers, so here in the U.S., that's my kids are between 10 and 13, so they're going through a lot right now. They haven't been in school since March. Everybody went home one March Friday and never went back to school.
Right.
And so they are driving me insane, and I want to lock them in their room sometime. But, we are going through a lot together, and even the days when we're not our best selves, I just, I talk to my kids, and I think 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to look back on this, and I'm going to wonder what you're taking away from this experience of really where home is everything. My husband and I have to be everything to them. We have to be friends. We have to they're going through so much. So I would really dedicate this to them, because in a couple of years, I'm wondering what they're going to come away with. I'm wondering what the life lessons are, and I think they're going to come out of this being really fabulous people.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, that's a lovely dedication to the kids, and that's 2 kids you've got?
Yeah, two daughters.
2 daughters, there we are. So a lovely dedication from Mum today to the 2 girls, and I'm sure they're going to look back on this podcast episode and be very thankful and grateful that their mum thought of them in that moment as well. Now, I really got excited when I knew I was going to have a chat to you today, because anybody that wants to bring peace and purpose to people's lives is a friend of mine. So tell us, all the people that are listening around the world today, tell us what you actually do.
So I am a certified professional organizer. And I know you're not supposed to start your introduction with what you actually do, but I have the coolest job. So I like to tell people what I am, because, it's a kind of a party trick when you're in a group. People usually say, "Oh my God, I need you. When can you come?" And I usually say, "How's Tuesday?"
Right.
But I love what I do. I am the person who will, again, in normal times, I'll come to your home and I'll move things around. And we do everything. I have a team, people that work for me. So we do everything from organize your sock drawer to set up a home office to help you organize your digital files, your paper files, even your photographs. We have an expertise in organizing photographs. So we love to do this. And part of the reason is, like you, Mark, I am a corporate refugee. I spent a dozen years in a large multinational corporation doing project management, and it was really great work. I loved when I was there. I loved the training. But what I really took away from it is the project management. And I knew that when I left that company, which I chose to do, that hole would close up around me. It would be like I was never there. I knew that the entire time I worked there. Well, what we do today is still project management, but we're doing it on an individual scale. And the impact that we have as professional organizers is life-changing. So we have so many great clients with their own struggles, their own career path, their own families, life changes that they're going through, and we get to come alongside them and help them be their best selves, but also make their space in a very, very tangible way, make their space work for them. And in doing this over the 15 years, I've actually created something called the Sort and Succeed system. And it is, very specifically, it's all around positivity and helping to encourage people to create the space where they can do their best work.
So let's back up a bit, because you've mentioned a few things there that intrigue me, and I'm sure the audience want to know the answers to these questions as well. What got you into this? What was the thought process? Had you been sitting in that corporate job thinking of ideas in which you could remove yourself from that world and start your own business? Was it back then, or was there something else that was an epiphany or a moment in life?
It really was an epiphany, actually. And since you're the travel guy, I'll tell you, I had this epiphany. I was on a sort of a weekend retreat with my girlfriend. She was living in Hawaii. I was living on the West Coast. So we met in the middle on the U.S. West Coast in Washington. Oregon. We went to Oregon. And we were having this lovely girls' weekend. And I realized on that weekend that I was beyond burned out. I had this great 6-figure job. I was sort of a middle manager, corporate middle manager, nothing to sneeze at. It was really a great position to be in my early 30s. And I was embarrassed. I was not happy with what I was doing. I was burned out because I had a couple of managers who literally were asking me to do things that were not above board. And had I followed through with them, I could have been really fired. And that was not a place I wanted to be. So on this girls' weekend with one of my best friends ever, I realized that I needed to make a change, and I needed to step out in faith that I could do something else. I had no idea what I wanted to. I thought I was going to go work for another blue chip company. I had no idea, no inkling that I was going to be a business owner. I didn't have that in my family. I went to business school thinking I was always going to be a corporate girl. I mean, I lived and breathed in a blue suit. Okay. I was all about the blue suit and the high, the pumps back in the day. So I really didn't think I was going to be doing anything else. But the reason that I ended up here is while I was building my corporate life, my husband and I were actually renovating houses.
Right.
Not in a flip, buy and flip sort of way, but it was just what we did. We bought we bought sort of the cheapest house on the nicest block. Okay. And if you're ever into real estate, that's really the way to go is you buy the house that's in distress in the nicest neighborhood that you can afford.
Yeah.
So we would buy these houses, couple in a row, and we would fix them up and make them, charming and lovely, and they were ours. And I got a lot of skills out of doing that. I mean, it was all weekend warrior, elbow grease kind of stuff. And that's where I had started to have neighbors come to me and say, can you show me how to? And I need help with, and I don't understand. And I was the go-to gal. So out of that, I realized that my weekends efforts were marketable skills as well. And so when I left the corporate world, I ended up marrying those two things, project management and the hands-on work with tangible results that I loved. And it ended up pointing me in the direction of professional organizing. And then over the years, I came back around to, I'm not just moving socks around. I'm not just moving dishes around in your kitchen. I'm actually teaching you technical skills, because remember, 15 years ago, that's when the iPhone came out, just about then. And I got to the point where on almost every job, I would say to clients, hey, do you have an iPhone? Do you have a smartphone? Let me pull it out because I want to show you something. There's an app for that. You remember the old Apple commercials?
Yeah.
But, we'd run into these problems. The client would just tell me things, and I'd say, there's an app for that. Let me show you how to use your iPhone better or your smartphone. And so just over the 15 years, I've actually come kind of full circle back into what I'm doing now, especially during the pandemic. We were doing virtual organizing, we were doing virtual meetings 15 years ago when I started, because that's my background.
Right.
But today, people are only learning about Zoom now. I was teaching my corporate clients Zoom 3 years ago. When nobody had heard of it.
Yeah.
So that's a long story, but if somebody is listening to this podcast and they're feeling stuck, they're feeling like, like I was at one point, look, the money's too good to leave this really soul-sucking corporate job, there are options out there, and you probably have been building some skill set off to the side, and you ought to look at that.
Yeah, you're so right. And I think we're probably in the most advantageous period of history in the world for us all to start something new and exciting. And I think it's a great time where people are actually sitting down and reflecting on their life in all sorts of different areas. A couple of things that you mentioned that I'd like you to maybe share with the audience today. And we are going to over 90 countries around the world. So there's people with lots of different diverse backgrounds, whether it be in corporate work or running their own businesses. But there's a lot of people out there too that are thinking of starting their own business. You had a corporate background, so it was probably a little bit easier. But what would you say were some of the major hurdles for you to overcome in terms of starting your own business back then when you did?
Two things in general. One is confidence, and the second thing is just a solid business knowledge. So I always talk about, plumbers get into the business because they want to play with pipes. They don't get into the business to do accounting and hiring and file taxes and set up a home office. Plumbers don't like that sort of thing. So whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your plumbing job is, right? Mine is professional organizing. But whatever it is that you're doing in your business, you need to keep in mind, you almost need to split your brain into two halves. You have to be able to do your business, which is the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, the thing that you're passionate about, and the thing that you can't wait to do. And you think everybody should be doing it because it's so fun, right? That's when you have the entrepreneurial streak and you ought to run with it. But you've got to remember that somebody has to do the accounting. Somebody has to do the hiring. Somebody has to do the filing. Somebody has to order the office supplies. And in most cases, if you're going to step out on your own, either from a corporate position or if, wherever you are in the world, small business is big. I mean, small business is a huge economic driver, not only here in the U.S., but worldwide. Most businesses, in fact, are small businesses. The large businesses in the world are very visible, and they're great jobs to have, but that's actually not where most people work. So if you're going to create a small business, just realize you're going to have days that you're going to have to be the guy to figure out the accounting. You're going to have to figure out how to hire your next person. So that's one thing is to know how to not only do the business, but also run the business. And the other thing is confidence. And if you're lacking in confidence, you know what? Just go do it. I mean, who's going to tell you no? At first, everybody, right? Everybody's going to say, oh, your idea is not good enough, or somebody's already done that, or there's a million reasons not to go into business. But if it gets you out of bed in the morning, go do it. Critics be damned.
Yeah.
Just do it. Yeah. I will tell you that one of my very close mentors, who I respect a lot, still respect, he told me that nobody would ever buy my services because people could do it on their own. So why would they hire me if they could do it on their own, by themselves?
Yeah.
And here I am 15 years later with a staff of people that report to me. They're not contractors, they're actual employees. So I have literally built jobs out of nothing. And that is one thing that I'm very proud of, is that 15 years ago, this little economic engine did not exist. And now, especially because of COVID, we're actually plowing money back into the community. I'm actually doing business with people that I had never had an opportunity to do business with. And I don't mean clients, I mean me as the client. I've taken on contracts with vendors specifically because I want them to still be in business a year and 5 years from now. And
right.
So I'm in a good position to do that. I have payroll, and I am an economic engine, a small one. Let's be honest. But I'm here in the community, and I'm plowing money back into the community, and that matters right now.
Yeah, there's some fantastic stuff there, and I love the part about self-belief, because building a business a lot of the time is about that self-belief and confidence that you have. And we all don't have the answers, There's a lot of people out there that'll help us along the way on our journeys, and it's about reaching out to those people and also putting aside the ones that are negative and the naysayers, because they're not going to help you get to where you want to go. other than inspiring you to prove them wrong and to get out there and do it like you've done, which is very admirable. Certified Professional Organiser. I didn't know it actually existed. So where did all that come from?
It does. It's existed in the United States for almost 30 years. We have a National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. It's short for NAPO.net if you're looking for them. And it started in the U.S., but it's actually an international organization. We have members from Australia, New Zealand, and dozens of countries around the world. But there are also organizations that are similar to NAPO in other countries around the world as well. There's one in the UK, there's one in Australia, which is, I had the pleasure of opening their conference as a keynote speaker a couple of years ago, and I came to speak on how to run your business even when you need to take a break from it. So that was, it was all about, confidence and planning and making sure that if you need to take a break from your business for a short period, women are going to often have a baby. They need to be able to self-fund a maternity leave. Or right now, there are people who have to stop working because they need to take care of sick family members. And that doesn't have to kill your business. So if you've planned ahead, that's something to, to make sure that you can keep your business going. So I have these colleagues all over the world who are professional organizers. Now, I've taken the additional step to become certified, and I actually belong to not one but 3 organizations that are somewhat related. So we have a line of business, not just organizing, but we do organizing, decorating, and photo organizing, like I mentioned. So if you are a business owner and you're trying to figure out how to get help in these areas where you're not so great, right? Maybe you're the idea person, but filing is just not something that's in your wheelhouse. Or, you can write a mad memo like anyone, but where you put it on your computer, anyone's guessing, right? So there are people out there to help you with almost anything these days. And professional organizers come alongside of our clients. I work with a lot of small businesses. I also work with a lot of individuals who just are overwhelmed all the time in their fast-paced corporate lives, and they get home and they have nothing left to give, so we help them take care of their homes better, take care of their digital files, their digital life, just really everything. So having a professional organizer in whatever country you live in it's really a great benefit. We often talk about, kind of joke about, if you're trying to hire a wife, here we are. And that's not denigrating, by the way. I mean, we all know how much work the wives do.
Yeah, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
not a slam at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to ask you though, have you ever been on a sailboat and helped someone organise their sailboat?
Well, I think I'm going to be doing yours on Tuesday, right?
Well, if you can get here in time, yeah, sure.
I can't say that I've done a sailboat yet, but I've done all sorts of, different living arrangements. Have worked in various small businesses. I do work with a lot of people who have more than one home. So they might be someplace else and I'm in their primary residence, or just all sorts of different arrangements. But I think 2 groups of people that I think are really amazing organizers, whether they want to admit it or not. One is teachers, and the other is people who live on a boat.
Yeah. I tell you what, my organisation skills have gone through the roof in the last 3 years since I've been living this lifestyle, because I was on a pathway to being a more minimalistic person in life in general, but I didn't realise the true impact until I got aboard my boat and realised, hang on a minute, there's not a wardrobe big enough for all that stuff, and I've had to organise. So that poses the question to you then. Do people get to a certain stage where they just start blowing their head apart with stuff and disorganisation? Is that when they reach out to you? Or how does it actually get to a stage where people say, hey, I need help with this stuff?
Yeah. We have a saying in the organizer community that most people spend the first 40 years of their lives acquiring things, and the second 40 years of their lives getting rid of things.
Yeah.
And so there usually is some catalyst. It's either some family trauma, there's been a divorce, there's been a death, or it can be good too. I mean, somebody has a baby. That's it's a different life-changing event, but also throws you for a loop, and it makes you reevaluate the space that you're moving in or that you're living in. A job change, a promotion, that sort of thing can also throw you for a loop. Moving to another house, that often can be a good situation. Just all sorts of situations where people, and sometimes it's just, I need new carpet. Right?
Yeah.
I need new carpet, and I got to find the old, I have to dig myself out and find the carpet underneath here. So yeah, people are very often getting to a certain point in their lives, and they think, you know what, why am I stressing? I'm no good at this, or I could spend the next year trying to get myself organized, or I could maybe reach out and see if somebody could help me do it better, faster, more systematically. And that's where I come in with the Sort and Succeed system. Is we actually created a system. So, you've been through this on the boat, I'm sure. Every time you go into a different space, you think, all right, well, what am I going to do here? We walk into a different room and think, okay, I have to start all over again. Well, you don't have to. If you have an organizing system, if you have a process, you go through the same 5 steps every time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You start at the door. You literally start. That is step 1 in my process, because I realized that so many people were calling me and they were saying, I know what to do. I've read all the books, but you got to come make me start.
Right.
And I thought, well, that's what everybody's missing then. The organizing processes that are out there, they're missing that first step. So the S in Sort and Succeed actually stands for start.
Start.
And then organize into groups. Right. So that's number 1. Organize into groups is number 2. Reduce, release, and reset is number 3. You've gone through that being on the boat. Tweaking is that process. That's step number 4, but that's the process of, okay, I live here now, but I got to make it work. So I'm always changing things just a little bit, or I'm creating systems over and over again just to make it work better. And then step 5 is to succeed and celebrate. And I'm always trying to get people to reward themselves.
Yes.
Pick a reward. Pick something that at the end of that, or in the middle sometimes of an organizing process, you can reward yourself, because that's going to train your brain so that the next organizing project that you have to tackle, your brain literally says, oh, I got this. I've been here before.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah.
So I'm really big into neuroscience, and if you train your brain, you're going to get there with better results.
I have an opportunity for you, and I'm really big on the whole art of collaboration. So I think there's an opportunity for us to collaborate. You can send me your guests for a week to come and live on my boat as their initiation to living in a space that's organized. And then they can go back home and they'll go, okay, now I know what I need to focus on, because it's a good first step. It's like putting trainer wheels on them and saying, right, okay, you've only got this much by this much, and you've got to deal with it, right?
Well, don't you have that experience too when you travel? You go to a hotel room with 1 bag or 2 bags, and you do that enough, and you realize that, oh, I'm taking 2 bags, but I'm only ever using half of my stuff, so I learned to pack better and smarter, right? And then people often will call me after they're traveling, and they say, you know what, I traveled for a week, and I had 1 bag, and then I come home, and I think, why am I overwhelmed? And so I know I need to make a change. So it's exactly that. You're exactly right.
Good analogy. Yeah, I like that about the traveling, because we all travel with less, and we probably have the time of our lives when we've got less stuff with us. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to go back and talk to you about the business stuff, because there's a lot of people listening today who are struggling through COVID-19, and they're thinking about, where their business is going and all the rest of it. So let's start talking about that journey. First of all, let's go back to, say, December last year, and before COVID had come along on the world scene. You were prepping up for, I'm sure, a very successful 2020 with lots of plans for your business. Can you tell us a couple of things that you had planned for 2020 before COVID came along, and how you were going to continue to manage your business?
You're right. Every end of the year, I do a 1-page business plan. It doesn't take long. Sometimes I'm just shining up little points that were on last year's business plan, but every year I take a look and I say, what do I want to do this year that's different? And what do I want to stop doing? And that what do I want to stop doing is just as important as what do I want to start doing. Because we all, we don't have an open checkbook. None of us. We don't have unlimited time. So what I wanted to do in 2020, I launched a book actually in January 2020, and it's called The Upbeat Organized Home Office. It's a short book, and it's all about how to create a home office that you love in whatever space you have, and how to be productive in that home office. Now, my whole platform back then was everybody needs a home office. That is literally the tagline of the book. Guess what? March came along, and boy, yeah, the numbers went through the roof. Everybody literally is working at home. In fact, the U.S. The U.S. population, 60% of the U.S. working population, everybody who works, at least 60% of us were working from home at least part of the time for the first 90 days of the pandemic.
Wow.
So that's unprecedented, just unprecedented. So, I kind of checked that off. Okay, I have the book out there. I'm helping as many people as I can. I'm making sure that I can do what I can to get the book out there, advertising, promotion, all of that. The other thing that was really important to me is I had some staff changes. One of my long-term employees needed to spend some more time with her kids, just that it was a time in her life where she needed to be home a little bit more. So I knew I wanted to grow my staff. So I actually hired a new person in June, right at the end of May and in June. And if you remember the end of May and in June, nobody knew what was going on then.
Yep.
But again, I reached out. I knew I wanted to hire another person to replace my very important key staff member who wasn't here anymore. And so, this is in addition to my existing staff. So I added another person. Now, some people I know or can't even imagine bringing a new person on in the middle of the pandemic, but it's what I needed to do. It was my plan, and she's great. She's coming on board. She's really shining already. She's showing her stuff and really adding a lot of value to the business. And where she's working specifically is in the photo organizing and creating slideshows, creating video shows for people. For our clients, and we can't have enough of that. Like people are just reaching out to us to help with their photos right now, because that was the one project that everybody always said, "Oh, I'll get to that when I'm retired."
Yeah.
That's the project. The photo organizing is a project that's way down on the list. Well, guess what? When you're home all day,
yeah.
and, everything else is done and you can't go anywhere, that photo organizing suddenly rises a little bit further towards the top of the to-do list. So I did hire. I'm really pleased that I didn't listen to that small voice inside that said, "What are you doing hiring during this time? It's crazy, and can you really afford it?" Absolutely, it was the right decision. So, and the other thing that I had sort of in the back of my mind, I mentioned before, is I wanted to reinvest in my community. And there was one advertiser, it's a community newsletter actually, that I wanted to put some money into. And when the pandemic hit, they actually put an offer out there for sort of a sale, if you will, on their advertising. And I said, I'm in, slot me in now. So I did that. It was, again, I was kind of stepping out saying, you know what, I'm going to have the money for this. I need to be out serving more people. And so I'm reinvesting in my community in that way.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's talk about the recruitment process, because I'm sure that a lot of people will be thinking that during these times when a lot of people have in fact lost their jobs, you probably would have had a wider range of better quality people to choose from to replace the person. Was that correct?
Exactly. That was exactly what I thought when some of my peers were having to lay off people or thinking about, can they afford to keep people on staff? I was thinking exactly the opposite. And this is, back to your earlier question, if you're in business, you gotta zig when other people are zagging, right? You gotta think, wait, is this a down cycle or is this an opportunity? And I absolutely thought, you know what, there's an opportunity here, because if there's talent out there that sees my job ad, maybe they're going to jump on this because they can't be working in another physical location in another job that might be catching their eye. But this one, they could be doing from wherever they are. And in fact, the woman that I hired was kind of in between two states.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah, so she was moving from one to the other, and I said, no problem. I
Mm.
am, if you can do the job, you can do it from wherever you are. And she got right on board.
So, as you just mentioned, there would have been a lot of people, and there was a lot of people when COVID came along that battened down the hatches, to use a sailing term, and to really, think about, wow, we need to go into survival mode. You obviously had a different strategy around that. What would you put that down to in terms of, is that part of your personality as a positive person, or was it a strategic business decision that you sat down and went through a lot of the matrix on what was happening in the marketplace, in particular in your business industry, and making decisions from there?
Yeah, definitely strategic. Like I mentioned, several years ago, I was asked to come to Australia and talk about how to manage your business when you need to take a break, or when your business, needs to take a break. And out of that, I realized one of the things that I have been doing from day one in my business really is sort of building a war chest. We think about profits in business, but we don't think about what we're doing with profits. And too many business owners just pay themselves 100% of the profits and draw down their business savings account. Um, they can be called a bunch of different things, but earned income or assets, even a small business like mine, where I don't have a physical plant, I don't make anything, so I don't have the kind of assets that a factory would, and I'm a service business, so I don't have inventory. But I knew early on that if I ever had a downtime in my business, and I've had at least four now, well, actually more than that, because I travel for a month at a time. And so what I've done is I've built up my business to have savings. So we don't call it savings in business. We
Hmm.
call it all these other things. We
Yeah.
call it, you know, whatever you see on your balance sheet. Um, but we don't call it savings. But think about your personal life. You have a savings account to get you through rough times. And I love the idea of living debt free.
Hmm.
And I've helped many people to head down that path.
Yep.
I think if you get to a lifestyle where you're debt free, all of your options open up. You have so many more options than the average bear, and your business is essentially another entity that needs a savings account. So by having a savings account and by having that cushion, if you will, when I came, when everything broke loose in March, and I thought, okay, well now I need to take a few days and reformat my business, and everything's got to go online. Some clients won't want to see me. Some clients will want to see me more, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to come at it with, how can I help you? What do you need? What can I do? Because I'm doing everything virtually. There's a whole bunch of virtual services that my clients maybe didn't realize I was offering, and now they know. I actually switched my employees right away. I said, look, you're going to have to step up. I'm not going to buy you a new computer, for example. You're going to have to work on your computer that I know you have, but here's what I am going to do. I'm going to buy you some support materials. I'm going to ship them to your house, and you're going to take on these roles that you've been doing in my office up to this point.
Yep.
And everybody stepped up, and having that savings in my back pocket meant that I could say to them, look, you're going to get paid. No problem. Keep working. I'll keep paying you.
What a brilliant idea, and a great way to run a business, because you hear so many people who are business owners at this time, the first course of action they went for was looking for financial support from governments and looking for handouts to try and manage their business. So I applaud you for the way that you're running your business, and not only your business, because it impacts your life. If you're organised, as you say, with savings in life, then you can have savings in your business as well. What have been some of the things, Darla, that you've learned about yourself as a business owner during these times? Because no matter how well organised you are, and you obviously are in all aspects of your life, there must have been some lessons that you've learned along the way in the last few months that have been beneficial to you both personally and also as a business owner.
I have learned that I am not a middle school teacher.
Right.
Sure. No, but seriously, I have learned for sure that working from home is not what we're doing right now. This is, I've worked from home for over 20 years. That's not this. This is something way different. people who have had the opportunity to work from home and maybe don't have a family obligation like I do right now. A lot of those people went home and thought that I can't operate this way because it's too quiet.
Mm.
I'm on the other end of that scale. Those people are easily distracted and they're having all sorts of trouble getting motivated. And, this is not ideal for anyone. So I'm on the other end of that scale, and things are too loud, happening too often. My kids need me all the day long. So for me to get through even a 1 hour meeting with a client, I feel like I've run a race and I've finished, made it through the finish line to be able to just have a short appointment without being interrupted. So I think what I'm learning and what I'm trying to share with everyone that I cross paths with is be as organized as you can. But, I joke all the time, the word of the day is flexibility. And that has been the word of the day since March 13th.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
you have to be flexible. You just have to give yourself some grace, give the people around you grace, because everybody's going to have a short fuse. You just don't know what day it's going to happen. And we're going through this, worldwide. I mean, Americans think it's just America. It's not. I talk to my friends in Australia, especially my friends in Melbourne who are locked down again right now. Nobody wants to be doing this. No school superintendent wants to be making the decisions that they have to make. No business owner wants to figure out how to turn on a dime. But we're all doing the best that we can. And, even if it's not great on any given day, we're all doing the best that we can.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, the cliches out there that we're all in this together, and it's no truer words than that because we're all dealing with it. And that's a reason why I started this podcast show, because I wanted us to talk as a global community of business people about how we can help each other during these difficult times. Have you seen an increase in competition in your businesses around because of what's happened with COVID-19?
I wouldn't say that I have. I'm in an industry where we tend not to be super competitive because there aren't enough professional organizers to go around to begin with, to be honest. So my colleagues in the area, the ones who are professional and who are running their business in a professional manner, I know they're working just as hard as I am. Some people have had to take a step back because their family obligations are kind of trumping everything else that they have going on right now. And that's to be expected in some families. I mean, that's the thing about many of the lifestyle decisions that we've made, like you living on a boat, me working from home for the last 20 years. We made these decisions so that we can be people, so that we can be with our families, so that we can support the people that are around us, not the other way around. I mean, our job should support the life that we want to have, not the other way around.
Yeah, beautiful. And again, as I said earlier in the show, that I think we're going through a time now where there's a bit of a reset button for everybody to consider that as a reality in life is, what better time to clean up your house and also clean up your job, right? You can do both at the same time right now.
Yeah, I love that idea of a reset button. I really think that's true. And in relationships too, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm not getting the calls from my clients, or, business feels like it's slower and I'm really starting to get scared. Trust me, I've been there. I'm not all Pollyanna. I mean, these are things that keep me up at night. But that reset button that we're all going through right now, that we all have available, I feel like that is the permission that we all as business owners have to reach out to past clients, past contacts in our corporate jobs maybe. And, maybe a year ago you would have felt funny picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, Joe, do you remember me?" But now I feel like everybody's got that reset button, and I'm calling clients. Actually, clients are calling me, but I'm calling clients I haven't heard from or talked to in a couple of years, and I'm just saying, look, I'm here. We're still doing the same thing that we've been doing. I figure you might be at home a little bit more, and I'm just calling to see how I can help.
Yeah, fantastic.
What can I do, organizing or not? Is there anything that you need from me? And so you don't have to feel funny about reaching out to your network, your clients, your community, and just saying, hey, is there any, I'm okay. Are you okay? What can I do for you right now?
Yeah, beautiful. There's a lot of things that we can do to change things up, and I'll give you a little bit of a antidote that I did in my own life last week. I stopped my own personal social media activities, and I've started writing handwritten letters to friends around the world again and posting them to them so they get something lovely in their mailbox for a change instead of a bill. And although most bills are online as well these days, but I just thought it'd be a nice idea to send someone a letter in the post and actually let them read someone's handwriting once again, because it's something that we're all starting to forget about. Tell us about your
I
business.
think that's really, I really love that. And please, I hope more people do that. I actually just sent an email to one of my kids' teachers today. Now it's summer where we are, kids are not in school. But I sent an email and I said, just look, thank you for what you did for us this year, and sending you encouragement for the weeks ahead. And just something that simple can mean a lot to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes us a very little amount of time, and as you just said, we can effectively change someone's day or even their life by doing that. Your business in 2 years from now, crystal ball gazing, you're Nostradamus. You were predicting COVID-19 and everybody was going to be working from home. So where
I
are you?
wasn't predicting COVID, but I was predicting everybody needed to be working from, or ready to work from home. Yeah.
So 2 years from now, what's your business going to look like in compared to what it is today?
Well, compared to what it is right now, I always start with my employees. 2 years from now, I have a small group of employees. I'm not planning on becoming, a multi-million-dollar business. I want my employees to be happy. That is the measure of success for me. I want them to love where they work. And I'll probably have one or two more employees continuing to add. And I want everybody on my team to be doing work that we love to do. Probably 2 years from now, what I'll be looking forward to getting back to is my vacations in France. I love to take a month off, and I go to France and I travel and I see friends there. And of course, I can't do that this year. But 2 years from now, I'll be looking forward to traveling and having those stories to share with my clients, and having that opportunity to recharge through travel. So I know you get that.
I certainly do. And my next obvious question is, which part of France are you going to be traveling to?
Any place that I get invited to. So if your listeners live in France or they have a vacation home that needs to be organized, they should call, they should get in touch with Darla at heartworkorg.com. Yeah, I have friends. Paris is my obvious favorite, but I have friends all over, and I will go wherever they ask me to go.
Have you been to a place called Annecy?
I have not.
There you go. Put it on your list for your next trip to France, because once you've been there, you will not be able to stay away in the future. So Annecy is an amazing place that's nestled in the Alps just down by Geneva. In fact, it's about a 30-minute drive from Geneva Airport across the French border, and it's nestled in amongst the Alps, and it's a beautiful lakeside community with the most amazing food that you'll find probably anywhere on the planet. And if you like the outdoors, then it's a place to go and enjoy as well. So
Sounds amazing. Well, I definitely want to get back to Nice. I found my favorite beach on the planet in Nice. I know a lot of people don't like that beach, but it is made for me.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would love to go spend some more time there. So I'll hit Annecy.
Annecy.
And on my way to Nice, yes.
I'll tell you what, if you go to Annecy, come back and you can be a guest on my travel show and tell us about it, because that would be a nice experience to hear a recommendation that's come true.
I think I just heard a tax deduction there.
So to finish up today, I thought I would ask you to share a couple of tips for people who are struggling at the moment during COVID-19 and both running their business, organising their home life and everything else that's going on. What's a couple of morsels from Darla that you can pass on to brighten up everyone's day today, Darla?
Well, definitely give yourself grace. I know I said it earlier, but you really can't say it enough. I mean, there's going to be days right now you wake up and you're just, first of all, get off the news, right? I'm terrible for this. I check it first thing in the morning and last thing at night, and that's not healthy. The news is going to be there tomorrow. So give yourself a couple of days if you need it. Again, I love to work all the time. But every now and then, actually more than usual right now, I am taking a day off. I'm actually taking Sunday off, for example, and that's not normal for me. But we need to recharge even if we're not going anywhere, even if we're not doing, big trips or big projects right now. This is tiring. I mean, Michelle Obama came out and admitted that she's dealing with low-grade depression. I don't know what low-grade depression looks like. I just know what depression looks like.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
So, if Michelle Obama, the goddess, is dealing with that, the rest of us are too. And just give yourself a little bit of grace. And then as far as getting through the rest of this, this is going to be a long haul. I think people are finally understanding that, like, this isn't going to be fixed next month. We are going to be dealing with this into next spring or longer. Even if there's a vaccine available, will we get it really quickly? Probably not. So have a plan, figure out what, like your questions that you've asked me, Mark, figure out what you're going to be doing 6 months from now. Figure out what you're going to be doing a year from now. Make your plan. Doesn't mean that everything's going to work out, but having a plan, we know this. We know research tells us that having a plan gives you the illusion of being in control, and perception is reality. And people who believe that they have more control over their work environment, whether it's in the corporate world or as an entrepreneur, people believe they have control, therefore they do have control, and they are actually healthier.
Yeah.
So, so it doesn't matter that we don't know what tomorrow's going to look like. We don't know what it's going to look like 6 months from now. Build a plan. Go from there. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You succeed?
Yep.
Oh, well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Fantastic. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a treat today, because you told me before the start of the show that your book was put out on January the 20th. Is that right?
Yes.
That happens to be my birthday. So can you hold up the book so everybody can see it? And I'm going to give your book a good plug right now. And
thank you so much.
There's Darla's book, folks, The Upbeat Organised Home Office. And I'm going to put the links into the show notes today where you can get a copy of Darla's book. Darla, do you want to give a copy away? Can I ask you to do that? Can we give a copy away to a listener today?
Can we give 10 copies away?
Well, we can. And what shall we get them to do to earn the right to have a copy of your amazing book?
How about they just email me?
Okay, there we go. First 10 people to email Darla will get a copy of her book.
Yep, and I will say if it's a U.S. Listener, I will happily give them an e-book or a physical book.
Yeah.
If it's an international person who contacts me at darla@heartworkorg.com, then it's going to be an e-book through Amazon or a PDF, either way. These get really pricey to ship overseas, but but let's give 10 copies away. Fantastic.
Thank you for being such a good sport on that. I'm sorry I didn't want to put you on the spot, but you delivered once again. So you were organised and ready to go. Surprise, surprise.
I'm glad to do it. These are like children. Once you write a book, I always say, these should be out in the world. They shouldn't be in my office. They should be out doing the work that they were meant to do. So
what's your favorite?
That's what I think about books.
What's your favorite business book besides your own?
Oh, what's my favorite book? Michael Gerber's The E-Myth is, I know it's an oldie, but it's so solid. And I actually didn't read it when I first started my business, and it was really a shame. So if anyone's out there listening and they haven't read The E-Myth, it's not what you think it is. It's really, really a good book. Yeah,
right. Okay, I'll put that in the show notes as well so people can find that, because it is a good book. And that's it. We've reached the end of the show, Darla. I could talk to you all day because you're such a fascinating lady and you've got a positive vibe about you, and everybody's going to be okay through COVID-19, folks. And Darla's going to help you get organised. So reach out and not only get a copy of a book, but get a copy of all the different ways in which she can help you out in organising your life from home to business and all the rest of it. Darla, thanks so much for being on the Global Business Podcast today. It's been a treat having you, and love to catch up with you sometime in the near future.
Mark, thanks for having me on. Well, you'll have to have me back on the travel podcast.
Travel show.
Annecy, France.
Absolutely. Okay. Have a good evening ahead.
Thanks. You too.